Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter. We just finished our third series of the day, and we're getting ready to move on to the fourth series. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by In Control here at the desk. And Jeff, let me ask you something.
Please.
What skins do you use on your gateway? There are two.
The new one.
Huh? The new one?
The dark one, yeah.
All right, you like the dark one? All right. Well, we do actually have that dark one visible right over here.
Wow.
So beautiful.
Wow.
That beautiful red, black. I like the gateway skin.
Yeah?
I think I like a lot of the Protoss building skins.
They look really cool.
A lot of people really like the Zerg ones, all the mechanical looking stuff, but I feel like the Protoss got the better end.
This time they did. I think this time they did. It makes my base feel all dark and evil-y, and I like that. It changes the feeling. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we might see that as we get ready to move into a Protoss versus Protoss once again. It's going to be MaNa versus SKillous. SKillous showing some really phenomenal PvT. We'll see how his PvP is looking versus MaNa, though.
Yeah, MaNa is, obviously you can't make it very far in Europe without winning some PvPs. There's some great Protoss players there, and MaNa is one of them. So hopefully he can continue this, because winning this group would be a pretty good statement for him. Hero Marine, a tough opponent, skilled, showing some high skill, excuse me. We also should run back some of your comments from our first series with SKillous, right? He is not a 5.4K MMR Protoss. He has an account that is there, but apparently, this is the Twitch chat did some sleuthing for us. He plays on a barcode. He's one of those guys who's not one of Roddy's favorite people. He's about 6.2K MMR, which is, again, that's like the pro gamer equivalent of 5.4K, I would say, which is kind of funny. It's on the lower end of the spectrum, but if you see a picture of SKillous, he's also very 17 years old, which is awesome to see a young man take on the old man MaNa. MaNa's like 23 now, I think. His bones are probably cracking.
Yeah, he's been around since the original StarCraft DreamHack tournament, StarCraft 2 DreamHack tournament, where he faced off versus Nama in the finals. I remember that.
Baby Terran himself.
Well, we're going to start down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Port Alexander, atop the blue Protoss. He is SKillous. And up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we got our red Protoss player from Team Liquid. He is MaNa.
MaNa, having done battle with the first wave of artificial intelligence agents sent out to destroy us in StarCraft 2, now here fighting young human people, looking to advance out of this group, get to that second stage, where MaNa belongs, right? Like, it's weird when he goes out early in a tournament, especially in a European one.
Yeah, he had a bit of a tough year. It's up and down for MaNa a lot of the time, where sometimes you'll see him, say, get to the finals and face off versus Cyril at WCS Austin, and then other times you do see him kind of get knocked out a little bit earlier on. It's been up and down, but I feel like this is, again, one of those times that MaNa's looking good again.
Yes. Putting in that work, and I do agree with you, but it's also fair to say up and down by MaNa standards, right? Like,
yes.
He still qualifies for everything usually. He still is, in and around the top 16 of it or something like that, and then he loses to another good player. It's very rare to see him go out to someone untested and unproven, which is kind of where we're at right now, but he also wouldn't go out. He'd just go down to the decider match. But SKillous, in that first series, again, I have to just say, I was really impressed with how well he played, and he did pull off an upset too, right? Going into that match, a young, untested Protoss player beating Hero Marine, get out of here. But he did just that, and he did it really well.
With macro builds, not even just, kind of cheesed one out and got some all-ins off on him. It's defending against some all-ins and also taking it to the late game. Yeah.
I think the most offensive thing a Protoss player can do behind winning with cheese is defending their opponent's cheese and still winning. That's the only thing more egregious a Protoss player can do is that.
Now, PvP is a bit of a different matchup. If you don't get PvP, sometimes it can feel like an incredibly volatile matchup. I do want to note SKillous, by the way, already throwing down a proxy pylon, but these two guys did play each other in the qualifiers for WCS Winter, and MaNa ended up taking the 2-0 there. That was only a week or two ago.
Okay.
I don't want to say that that's truly indicative that SKillous is going to be playing from super far behind or has a really, really tough road ahead of him, but he is going to be playing a little bit against history right now.
Yeah, sure. And he's starting off in kind of an interesting way. The proxy robo does tell me that this is going to be like a 3-gate robo type of attack, because normally robo versus Stargate is just really bad for the robo player, but that style, it can be okay. It's still not great.
Okay, gets the Phoenix pretty low on hit points, but still escapes out of there. SKillous being so aggressive with those early 2 Stalkers. If you can shut down that hallucinating Phoenix Scout, that really does wonders, because eventually the hallucinating Phoenix is going to show up over here. If there's not one more Stalker in the main base to secure the kill, it will look a little bit weird to MaNa to say, hey, wait a second, where are the rest of your buildings? Where's your tech?
Well, let's see how much of a scout it gets.
It sees no natural. It didn't quite spot out that there was no tech, maybe over the left or something.
Yeah. What's funny about this, I'll just tell you the way that Protoss brain works in that situation. They kind of understate themselves. Like, what he just saw does not immediately scream proxy, but seeing three Stalkers, show up as natural at that time could tell him that there's at least a proxy pylon. The 2 gateways are churning out some units, so he's aware of that. He knows aggression's coming.
Immortal walking its way across the map. Now, it does have a long journey to make, but there is the cancel from MaNa. Shield battery is also going to be given up in the low ground, so that's 100 resources extra that he's going to be losing.
Yeah. He also, keep in mind, has not built off that Stargate. And it did finish, right, Robbie? There is a Stargate in there, but it's just not being... No, there's an Oracle.
There's one Oracle. It's made its way across the map. There is a shield battery here.
Oh, wow.
So unless he uses the trick... Oh, my God. Actually, I don't know if you get that in time. Okay, well, you don't get that in time.
Science says no.
Answer that question.
Wow. And now with that... I mean, the game's afoot, right? So MaNa knows there's no expansion. He knows he's frozen the entire mineral line, by the way, which is ridiculous. With a sentry at the top of that ramp, sure, an Immortal's scary, but he's got his own Immortal coming out. Should be able to hold here.
He's going to commit up there. He does have the War Prism, so he can pick up... Looks like he's going to pick up the Stalkers and retreat back instead of moving on up with the Immortal. Pro's being pulled off the line. A couple of them are going to go down.
Wow.
This is going a little bit better than I thought it would for Skillous.
Absolutely. The War Prism changes the dynamic of this fight in a big, big way. The Immortal doing so much damage. The own Immortal of our Protoss player MaNa is coming out here, however, and he's got a good number of Stalkers on the high ground. Sentries are being warped in just because of the lack of minerals here for Skillous. He's going to go to the top. There's nothing to stop him. A nice zoning force field there as well. And now he can start killing pylons or just the gateways themselves.
That's the last gateway right now. There's no more gateways on the way either. He can only make robo units right now.
Here comes some probes that get locked behind another fantastic force field. That Immortal is isolated. Looks like there's no more force fields to zone it out, however, and I think an Immortal did die in the background, which is a bad move there because he had the War Prism, so he could have picked it up.
Oh, sentries are going to start going down to the Oracle DPS, which can chase these units.
Wow.
Got another couple Stalkers going to be warped in, but this is just not a large force over here for Skillous. I think he's waiting. Wait, was there another Immortal? There is an Immortal somewhere. Oh, no, it's... Oh, he didn't make another Immortal. It's just
elevate up into the main base, and he has force fields, but there should be a recall from MaNa. Ooh, not doing it, though. And now War Prism here for MaNa as well. I think MaNa securely got this. He's up in supply. He even sees this War Prism trying to be cheeky, and it might even die.
Oh, my God.
Yep, that's it.
2 Stalkers, an Adept, and a Sentry, and too much. MaNa takes the first game.
Some pretty tight aggression there and some decisive moves from young Skillous to go up the ramp like that. Some great zoning force fields. But kudos to MaNa as well. He pulled the probes a couple times, which again, that's it looks like, I don't know, I think to like the layman it seems like well, you just do that, right? No, if you do that too early or if you do that too late, you die just by doing that in general. But because he had such a massive hit with that Oracle Stasis Ward, he was able to pull those kind of probes to just make sure that the fight went his way. And it distracted him enough and zoned him out enough that he lost the Immortal, did Skillous, and that was it.
Really good micro there from MaNa. And like you said, I feel like whenever I watch a Terran player pull the boys, you're like, okay, this is going to buffer a lot and stuff. When I see a Protoss player pull the pros, I'm like, are you about to give up? Because this looks like a lot of the time, it's just that point where you see exactly what you were saying. So many Protoss players will pull too early or too late, and it just leads almost further down the pathway.
It is.
He ends up losing.
Specifically, though, in Stalker versus Stalker, and as long as the threshold's not like, it's not like 12 Stalkers versus 5 or something ridiculous like that, pulling the probes there doesn't do much for you. But when it's 6, 7, 8 Stalkers versus 5 or 6, the probes are actually a big, big win factor there as they just don't go down that fast as Stalkers.
Yeah, that Stasis Trap, though, played a huge impact. Because imagine if you have, whatever, 10 more workers mining the minerals. You were talking about how he's warping in sentries. Imagine if those were Stalkers. Or, you know, imagine if there was a second Immortal that was coming its way across the map.
It's not even 10. It was 16. It was literally 3 on each gas and 0 probes mining minerals.
That is, that is a tough way to go out in game number 1. But still good play from both of them. We'll see where game number 2 leads us as we're going on to King's Cove. And MaNa currently leading up 1-0 and is 1 game away from moving on to the second stage of WCS Winter.
You know, one final note about that stasis ward, by the way, too, because it's funny. I was impressed with how fast SKillous reacted to exactly that. Like, the second it went down, all the probes went after it. But it was right next to a shield battery, it was in between a mineral, so the surface area available to the stasis ward was not high enough, obviously. Had he had that same reaction, but pull all the probes out and put one in the mineral to get stuck by a stasis ward, he would have lost a fraction of as much mining time, and who knows what happens after that.
All right, well, we're going to be starting down here once again in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Protoss player. He is SKillous, Team Blazer. And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. It is from Team Liquid, sitting up 1-0. Liquid's MaNa.
A rather back and forth, tumultuous game, but you know what? If you watch a lot of MaNa, like we have over the years, or if you check out a stream, you can, you'll know that that's pretty common. He's a micro-oriented, fairly aggressive player, and he stays calm, and we saw that there. We were talking a lot about the skill of SKillous and just how impressive the young man is, but at the same time, MaNa was able to handle that situation really well. It gets out the one Oracle, uses it, doesn't try to overuse the Stargate, gets a Robo down immediately, Chronoboos out an Immortal first, not an Observer. Like these small choices that we kind of undervalue in these tight games like that, it's the difference between winning and losing. So MaNa sitting 1-0 at the top of this group. If he wins this, he advances pretty cleanly. That'd be very impressive.
Yeah, now I know a lot of Protoss players for a while were saying you open up Stargate as the safe way. That's just the way that it's, if you have to pick one build or one standard thing to do in PvP, a lot of players are saying Stargate it was sort of the way. Do you feel like that's still the case?
It is, but it's less so, right? Like when these changes first were implemented around Home Story Cup of last year. So when I say last year, I mean, what was that, December or something like that. But it was like the universal thought you had to go Stargate. I still think Stargate is probably the most powerful, but it's nice seeing these players kind of, the meta kind of shape around that. Twilight Council to counter it, proxy Robo, or even in-base Robo, just because the aggression off of that can sometimes counteract the aggression of the early Phoenixes, that kind of stuff. It's all really good, but we are still seeing more Phoenix battles than we did before that because of how strong the Stargate is.
I do want to really quickly note that not only is there the proxy over here, it is going to be a Stargate this time, but very importantly, MaNa doing a very active job of scouting for the second pylon. Sees one pylon in the main, looked everywhere around the rest of the main, saw nothing, so he's looking for the proxy now.
And MaNa does have tremendous star sense as well. So to your point, this is not like a, this probe is scouring everything, like you said. So it's actually probably going to find the Stargate. And proxy Stargate, if scouted, is a tough spot to be. It's a Robo going down for MaNa, so it's a little bit less tough. But when you know this is what's happening, and he actually sees it, by the way.
Oh,
did the pylon spot it? Did the pylon spot it?
The pylon?
The probe, yeah.
Oh, the probe. Yeah, the probe spotted out the Stargate and the pylon. So
No. I'm asking if the pylon saw the probe. But anyways, the point is, the Stargate was spotted when it's warping in like that. It doesn't have full vision, so the probe can see it but not be seen.
Yeah.
But he's going to reveal himself here anyways.
Yep. He's going to see a Phoenix also popping out first, and that might give him the time to pick off the pylon before any other Phoenix can come out, or even an Oracle or anything.
So he might just pick it up to delay. But even so, this pylon is still dead, to your point.
He's sending two Stalkers over. He might be able to catch the Stalkers, because this is a bit of a trapped in place, but no, look at that. MaNa immediately backs off, says, I killed the pylon, that's all I need to do, and is going to catch an Adept. So if he loses one Stalker, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
Oh my god, he's actually going to be able to get another Stalker here, too. He might be able to win this fight.
Yeah, well, might. You can take that word out, my man. He's going to win this fight. He's going to get two Stalkers. He already got one Adept. He could probably get that other Adept as well. He depowered the Stargate. If this is on ladder, and even if it's not on ladder, you could actually just GG right now for the most part.
He killed two probes, a pylon that depowered the Stargate, two Adepts, two Stalkers, and he only lost one Stalker himself, which is regenerating its, the other Stalker is regenerating its hit points. SKillous is in trouble is an understatement.
He's dead.
Yeah.
He's chrono boosting that. He can get out a Sentry, which is defensive at best. It's going to block the ramp, but he actually doesn't even have enough firepower up there to, like, sometimes you try to sever off 3 or 4 Stalkers. If he did that, he'd actually lose the fight anyway still.
Yeah, the Phoenix...
He didn't repower the Stargate, though, by the way, so he's actually making Phoenix. Which is kind of
okay, that is helpful. Being able to sneak another probe out there despite losing that fight in the center is actually a pretty big deal. There's already a proxy pylon down for MaNa, by the way, so if this Warp Prism for some reason did go down, he still at least has somewhat delayed reinforcements, but he's going to pick off one of the gateways, which that's less production.
Yep, that's true, Rubby. Well said, my friend. He's going to go up this ramp here with the Warp Prism. And what's worse here, too, is that this Warp Prism represents, like, the Force Field does nothing, so the Sentry's essentially dead there. It should have been a Guardian Shield even. And then Phoenix in low counts against this many Stalkers, not super effective. If you dive on the Warp Prism, you're in a lot of trouble. If you pick up a Stalker like that, but as you said, with less production, there's not as much firepower to kill it. This is a losing battle for our young Protoss player here.
Yep, loses one of the sentries. No more Force Fields really going to be available as the sentry just now gets enough energy. Phoenix try and pick up. The Warp Prism getting a target fire down, which is going to be helpful, but as the pros get pulled off the line, actually the Stalker's going after the Phoenix. Oh, so loses a few more, but he is still going to be taking some good trades.
Oh my god, he's killed 3 probes. He's actually only up a little bit in supply. Did lose the Warp Prism. What is the worker situation here at?
It's 27 to 20.
Well,
so that was a good defense from SKillous, but he is still playing very much from behind.
Yeah.
Because behind this, of course, MaNa also got up his own Robo. So we saw that with the Warp Prism, but he can go into Immortal production and everything. Whereas SKillous is just stuck on the Phoenix, which would be great if he had more still alive.
Exactly, Rev. You saved yourself from saying something that Jeff would make fun of you for like an hour. Had he not lost the 3 or so other Phoenix and he had 5, I would be totally okay with him being down 7 or 8 workers and totally okay with him having the slower Nexus. But he only has the 2, and he's still building some. So he's got 3 here, but 3 don't get a lot done, right? They're going to pick up a couple of probes, sure. But in the fight, they're picking up a Stalker and then not killing it, or they're picking up 3 Stalkers, but then they're just picking him up. So what they represent in this game right now is just not fantastic. And I said not, which is a double negative, so it means I did say they're fantastic. I want to take it back. It is bad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, mark that on the record.
I appreciate it.
No Twilight counting down for MaNa, so the one kind of thing that at least SKillous has going for him is that there's no Blink, and there aren't that many Stalkers over here for MaNa comparatively. With the shield batteries, that's what he's hoping to rely on to make the hold work, and he didn't make any Immortals either. So SKillous, this is his best chance, but more Stalkers come in from the main base that we're looking to intercept the Phoenix. The Phoenix get target fired down, and the shield batteries, well, they just heal a little too much, and SKillous is at the end of his rope.
He is. There's no Nexus behind this. He sees the expansion. That's it. He's going to tap out and lose the winner match here. So MaNa will advance 2-0 out of this group with a pretty good PvP performance, right? He looked good against Shodone, and now he looks good against SKillous. And hopefully later in this tournament, we'll get to see his PvT and PvZ.
Yeah, Protoss versus Protoss, a very different matchup than, say, PvT or something. So SKillous having a little bit of a hard time versus the veteran MaNa, but you okay there?
I guess so. I tried to, try to be fancy sometimes, and I fell over. I'm like, yeah, let's not be fancy. Just stand.
But yeah, like you said, MaNa going to be advancing on. He's going to be moving on to the next round of WCS Winter, and SKillous, after a really great performance in that first series versus Hero Marine, has a bit of a tough showing, but he's still going to be going to that final match of the European group now. Absolutely.
And it's going to be a good one, right? Because again, it's SKillous, who looked really good, or it's Hero Marine getting out and humorously saying he'll retire if he loses. So a lot to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen, as we just start off the day with Group B here. These European players giving us a heck of a show match. After this, we'll also have Group B of Americas, which is going to have some fantastic players. So get up, stretch, grab some water, hashtag WCS when you tweet, and go buy the war chest probably. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes.